Honolulu's new J2CR Hybrid foam paddle with blue endurance grit has players asking if it's one of the best power paddles available right now. So I put it head to head against some of the most popular hybrid foam power paddles on the market to see how they compare. Let's get into it. For this comparison, we're looking at what I think are some of the best hybrid foam power paddles available right now. You have the Honolulu J2CR, the Spartus P1 Hybrid, the 11624 Power 2 Vapor, Thrive Ignite, and then the Bread and Butter Loco. We're going to compare spin and grit durability, offensive output, feel, and then just overall paddle profiles. These are all excellent paddles, so this is less about which one is best and more about understanding the differences and figuring out which one is best for you. All of these paddles generate excellent spin out of the box, but the Power 2 Vapor and J2CR separate themselves from the group in my RPM testing at 2,139 and then 2,115 RPM respectively. The Thrive Ignite and Spartus P1 follow closely behind, with the Loco following those. Looking at spin retention, the Power 2 and J2CR again sit at the top of the RA and RZ retention charts. RA measures overall surface roughness, while the RZ tracks the highest surface peaks after accelerated wear testing. The Thrive Ignite and P1 Hybrid also perform well here, while the Loco drops off a bit more and is the only paddle here using a traditional raw carbon fiber peel ply instead of a durable grit texture. It's also worth noting that the Power 2 and J2CR are UPA only certified and are not USAP certified like the others. That matters for tournament play, since some tournaments won't allow UPA only paddles, though it likely won't matter for rec or club play. That said, all of these paddles with durable grit texture spin the ball very well and hold up better than raw carbon. Unless you're an absolute spin junkie, I wouldn't let this spin retention alone decide which paddle you choose, and even though the Loco falls behind here, there still may be reasons for you to pick it up over the others. Now let's talk about offensive performance next, because while these are all power paddles, they all achieve it differently. The J2CR is the most explosive paddle in the group. It's very lightweight with a stock swing weight around 107, which is extremely light and well below the hybrid average of 113. Out of the box, it feels extremely fast and poppy with an average sweet spot and okay power. But once you add weight, the sweet spot and power level jump up while the power stays high. With customization, it becomes the most offensive paddle here and is extremely forgiving and has an always on type power profile. The downside is that the pop is still high enough that it could be hard to manage for some, especially when you're trying to absorb pace or slow the ball down in transition. Feel-wise, it has a stiff, hollow, crisp response that feels lively. The Loco comes in next offensively. It has excellent power and pop, but not to the point where a player that can bring some of their own touch can't control it with some practice. The stock weight balance and forgiveness level is excellent with a 113 swing weight and 6.7 twist weight. It moves quickly through the air, but still has enough mass behind the ball to feel stable and connected, though there is still room for customization if you want to. Like the J2CR, it has a somewhat stiff and hollow feel, though not quite as extreme. Personally, I connect with the feel of the Loco very quickly. The biggest weakness is simply the traditional peel ply grit texture compared to the durable surfaces on the other paddles here. That said, Bread and Butter did recently get acquired by Selkirk, so it'll be interesting to see if something like Selkirk's Infinigrit eventually makes its way onto future versions. The Power 2 Vapor, P1 Hybrid, and the Thrive Ignite all have similar firepower levels and sit a step below the Loco offensively, though they each bring different strengths. The Power 2 Vapor is also relatively lightweight with a swing weight of 111. It feels slightly stiff and hollow, but has a more muted sensation compared to the Loco and J2CR, and in my opinion is easier to control versus those two, though opinions vary here because some players feel disconnected more from its muted feedback. For me, that wasn't an issue. I found it predictable and easy to use. It has a good stock sweet spot, but I do think it benefits more from customization than the others here, especially for improving plow-through and stability. The Spartus P1 Hybrid has the most neutral feel in the group. It's not particularly stiff or particularly soft, it sits right in the middle. I like the feedback and found it easy to connect with. Its power and pop are good and in line with what the Power 2 brings, where it's controlled enough that it doesn't cross fully into the high-powered category, which honestly is a good spot and a lot of players will thrive there. The spin is excellent, and on slower swings like dinks or roll volleys, it seems to grab the ball a little bit better than the others here, which gives it a unique edge. The trade-off is weight. With an average swing weight around 117, it moves more like an elongated paddle than a traditional hybrid. Then there's the Thrive Ignite, which is one of my personal favorites in this category. The Ignite has more of an activated power profile. You have to swing with intent to unlock its offense, but when you do, the power is absolutely there. Then in softer shots, it's easier to control than the others because it has more passive pop and doesn't want to launch the ball unexpectedly. It also has a softer, denser feel that stands apart from the more stiff and hollow feel of the other paddles here. The stock setup is very balanced and forgiving with a 113 swing weight and 6.7 twist weight, and like the Loco, it plays very well stock while still leaving room for customization if you want to tune it further. So how do you choose between these? If you want a lightweight hybrid power paddle, I'd go with either the J2CR or the Power 2 Vapor. Choose the J2CR if you want aggressive offense and pop. Choose the Power 2 if you want something that is more controlled power. If you want the most player-friendly power paddles in this group, I'd lean toward the Loco or Ignite. Go Loco if you want something that is in that higher power and pop range. Go Ignite if you want something very approachable for a power paddle with its activated power profile and easier pace management. If elite spin is your priority, the three standouts are the J2CR, Power 2, and the P1 Hybrid, with the P1 offering slightly more grab on slower shots. And if you want the weight balance of an elongated paddle but the larger sweet spot of a hybrid, the P1 Hybrid will give you the best fit of this group. So that's everything I have for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you want more detailed comparisons, full testing data, or a weight setup recommendation for any of these paddles, check out the RIT review linked in the video description.